We know they need pitching. We know that they need good starting pitching, so they got to go get it. We'll see what they come up with. I think they need to reinforce that bullpen as well. But, another thing that concerns me, other than the fact that the Cardinals no longer have a championship pedigree with the people that are in-house, a very, very, very minimal postseason success as compared to the olden days, not that long ago, when you had guys like Pujols and Wainwright and Molina. My God, Molina played in 100 postseason games.
It's crazy.
100. I think Goldie and Arenado together might, I don't even know if they have 30. I think it is, because Goldie was on that 2019 Cardinals team that got to the NLCS. So anyway, so the fact that it's like you can't just go out and get championship pedigree. It's got to be cultivated. It's got to be developed. And you got to have great players who can lead the way, show the way. And the other thing those great players can do for you? They can make your franchise more attractive for free agents. And another one of my concerns, and it's very real, I'm not just looking for stuff. I don't play that game anyway. Used to be players really wanted to be here. In fact, it wasn't that long ago. Goldie really wanted to be here. Arenado really wanted to be here. He kind of forced a trade specifically to St. Louis. But you also have to remember, the luster hadn't come off the Cardinals at that point. I mean, they still were in pretty good shape. They still had Wainwright pitching well. They had Molina. They had a lot of things going on. It's like, okay, listen, man, I'm just going to go with their track record. It's really good. But it was about to unravel, and it really unraveled this year. So my question is this. What is the appeal for free agents if money is equal, or even if the Cardinals offer a little more? Let's just pretend it's starting pitchers. What's the lure? Again, unless the Cardinals are really willing to overpay and go above what other teams are offering. What is the lure? What is the attraction? What is the appeal? You're a pitcher, so you think, well, yeah, I'm going to go there. And, the one thing about Russa and Duncan, man, they've always gotten everything they can out of their pitchers. Boy, I'm having problems. Dave Duncan fixes pitchers. He's had great, unbelievable impact on guys that most teams have given up on. And they go to St. Louis. He teaches them that sinker ball, and he gets ground balls, and then they're better than they've ever been. Yeah, I want to go pitch for Russa. I want to go pitch for Duncan. I want to play for the Cardinals because with Russa, he's hell-bent on not only getting to the playoffs, but, going far and winning more championships. That's all he's about. And the players take on his personality. So, yeah, I know that Russa he's going to put pressure on me. He's going to demand more. He's relentless. But maybe I need some of that. And it's worth it if you're going to win in the end. If you're going to be in the playoffs every year, you're going to make runs. You're going to have pennants, a couple World Series. It's worth it. So this sounds so mean, and I'm really not trying to be mean, but I happen to truly believe this and sincerely believe this. Tell me a free agent out there, unless it's a guy desperate for a job. I'm talking about the more coveted, high-level free agents that will draw a lot of interest. All right, you give me the name, and I'll wait. Although I have to get off the air at 6. And actually, if I waited, I'd probably be waiting till spring training and then some. Because tell me the name of a upper-tier free agent pitcher, starting pitcher especially, that is calling his agent and saying, "Look, whenever this starts, man, I really want to go play for Ali Marmol."
Ooh,
silence, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Nola, ever since I heard about Dusty Blake, I didn't know who he is, but this guy's a miracle worker from what I understand. I really want to go pitch there. Dusty Blake can get me turned around. Who's going to say that?
Crickets.
See, this is one of the repercussions of Mo, John Mazzette, like wanting to have managers who are not as strong and resolute and established as Tony La Russa. Because Tony La Russa was high maintenance, and that's not a knock. He pushed them all the time. And I've heard the stories. I mean, he'd even get into it with Walt, but they had a great relationship. And, Tony had a great relationship with Mo and a great relationship with DeWitt. They were totally honest and blunt and frank with each other. But as I've said on this show many times, when DeWitt or whoever's running the ball club made a decision, that was it. Tony didn't get his way. He didn't get his way. Sometimes he absolutely got his way. And he understood that it's like that. You're not going to get everything you want. But he kept pushing and pushing and pushing. You think that Matheny pushed and pushed and pushed? No. You think he challenged his bosses? No. Schilt? Not until he decided that he was the king of the hill. He was, Schilt let a little success get way up into the noggin there. And then he's going to start giving orders to DeWitt and Mozeliak, Bye. Bye-bye. Ali Marmol, do you think he pushes and prods and is a pain in the neck to the president of baseball operations or the owner of the team? Do you think he's in there saying, listen, we really need this. You got to we need this help, man. Is that Ali? Do you think he's challenging his bosses on a daily basis? No. See, this is one of the repercussions of not when you've been led by Tony La Russa for 16 seasons and you did a hell of a lot of winning, and you've decided, well, the way the game's changed, the managers are just kind of facilitators, the analytics department. Upstairs is when we're going to determine a lot of things about the roster and the lineup and strategy as a philosophy. So when you weaken the manager's office, you weaken the chair, you weaken the job, you also lose appeal. Do you think free agents do you think they'd like to go play for Bruce Bochy? I'm saying, yeah. A lot of them have already. You think they'd like to play for the dude in Philadelphia who's not a household name, but he's already made a mark on that franchise? And the Phillies players believe in him 100%. You think they'd want to play for Brian Snitker? Absolutely, 100%. He's a baseball man. He's won at the big league level. The Braves adore him. The players play for him. They bust their tail, and he actually pushes them if they're loafing or whatever. Dave Roberts, who's been really successful. Yeah, I know he's only got the one World Series in a short season, but that's not the point. The Dodgers are great every year, and it's not always because of payroll. Players love Dave Roberts. Like he would be a destination manager. You know how you say, well, that's a destination spot. Oh, yeah, let's make a trip here. That's a destination spot. Well, you got destination managers. Tony La Russa was one. Craig Counsell is a destination manager, especially if you're a pitcher in need of some kind of rehabilitation, but they don't have the payroll to get everybody that they want. You know that Snitker has become a destination manager. You know that Brandon Hyde in Baltimore is now becoming a destination manager because there's no team in the majors that has as much fun and has as much youthful energy with a really cool manager than Brandon Hyde and the Orioles. I think Dave Roberts is a destination manager. Bruce Bochy is a destination manager. Give me some other ones. There's a lot of them.
Dusty Baker.
Dusty Baker. How dare I not include him? Yeah. Players love Dusty. Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. They love him. The Cardinals had a destination manager for 16 seasons. And he could be a pain in the backside, the neck, maybe some pains in the chest to the people he worked for, but that was healthy. I worked for one of the greatest, I mean this, I worked for a legendary sports editor in Dallas. He reinvented sports journalism at the newspaper level. I can't even go into it to tell you the impact he made on the industry. And I wanted to work for him. You know why? Because he was Dave Smith. And he built the best sports section in America. And they won every award. And wherever there was a story, they tell you to get on a plane and go. and there was creative tension. And I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to like that or not, but I want to work for Dave Smith. And he's going to push me, and I'm going to curse him when I go home. But I want to work for him because I know he'll make me great. I know that newspaper every morning is great, the sports section. So you go to work for Dave Smith, and Dave Smith's Tony La Russa, basically. He's on you every day. He just never lets up. I'm getting calls at training camp. I'm a rookie Cowboys beat writer. I'm getting calls in Thousand Oaks, California. My time, it's like, 5:30 in the morning. Hey, Bernie, what's the deal here? Dallas Times Herald, Jim Dent had a notebook item about how they're negotiating with Mike Renfro on a new contract. How come we haven't had that? It's like 5:30 in the morning, and it was like a third note. It wasn't even a big story. You would just get pushed all the time, but it was worth it, like I said. Because whatever you needed as a resource, you got. Wherever you wanted to go to pursue a story, you did it. Whenever you wanted to put a team together to go investigate something, you could do that. There was no limits in the pursuit of excellence, and that was the way Tony La Russa was. So I kind of worked for a guy like that, but in a different industry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like it, but, Jim Edmonds said one time, in fact, it was during the 2006 World Series, that there were times he hated Tony La Russa. He just hated him. So I got to get away from this guy. I can't take it anymore. But you know what he said after winning the World Series? In fact, I went and got the quote sheet and gave it to La Russa because he hadn't heard it. This is the day after they won in 2006. Jim Edmonds said, the greatest thing I ever did was come here and play for Tony La Russa. Even though he'd be the first to tell you there were times I couldn't stand the guy. I was sick of him. He pushed me more than anyone's ever pushed me to be the best that I could be. And he was relentless. And I knew that he cared about one thing, win, 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 and whatever he had to do to get you motivated, he would do. And Tony La Russa, not only a great manager, he had a great impact on my career. And I consider him to be my second father. He's like a father to me. So I showed that thing to La Russa. It was like, it was a transcribed quote that they put out. Major League Baseball puts it out. They have, they have like court reporters taking in all the quotes. I took that to him, and La Russa read it, and he got tears in his eyes. And there were so many times where Jimmy Edmonds was like, I can't take it anymore. But at the end of the day, when he won that World Series in 2006, and he was a perennial all-star, and he was one of the greatest players of the Cardinals that era, he got emotional about Tony La Russa and could not thank him enough and said he was like a father. So, Mike Matheny, if you were his kind of player, and he was very rigid about the kind of player that he liked, well, he would do anything for you. He would be that great shoulder you could go to lean on, or someone for advice. But he froze other players out. So what good was it? If he decided he don't like Dexter Fowler, and he didn't like Dexter Fowler even before Dexter Fowler put on a uniform. How the Cardinals recruited Dexter Fowler, whether it didn't turn out all that great, but my point is, they made the decision, and they decided, we're going to go for Dexter Fowler. Again, we can now criticize that or whatever, but that's not the point of the story. So they take him to one of the great steakhouses, I forget which one, in Clayton, and this is before he signs. It's like the final meeting, and it's sociable. Matheny wasn't there. Like, an executive decision was like, I don't really know that Dexter is exactly what he wants, and I'm just afraid he'd say the wrong thing here. And I think it's best for Mike to sit this one out. Can you imagine?
It's pretty pathetic, actually.
It's unbelievably pathetic. All right, Mike Schilt was a player's manager. He would hold their hands. He would tell them they were great. He would go out on Bally Sports Midwest every night after the game. The Cardinals is bad when they were awful. We scratched and clawed. They compete their tails off. No, they didn't. We watched the game, okay? We can see, all right?
Right.
But the players love that. Oh, he's got our back. He's got our back. He's got our back. Ali's the same way, unless he decides he don't like you. And unless the pitchers or John Mozeliak gives him the order to, hey, it's time to go humiliate Wilson Contreras. I mean, how can anyone take that seriously? You're a free agent, and you got other choices, and you're going to be like, wait a minute. Why would I want to go there? First of all, they lost 91 games. All their team Hall of Famer types are gone. The guys in there just haven't won much. That Cardinal Way thing, I don't know where that is anymore, but they're not an organization that's like top of the mountain anymore. And then when they do spend money on a free agent, look what happens. They trade Mike Leake to get him out of there because the other pitchers didn't like him. They had to get rid of Dexter Fowler because they had to make room for some young outfielders. But again, the managers, he wasn't everybody's type of personality, which I think is pathetic because I think Dexter Fowler, that was the best part about him. His performance was lacking, but that was the best part about him. And now, and Schilt was doing some of that too. So now you move it on up to Marmol, and it's like, wait a minute. Okay, they spent all that money on Dexter Fowler, and they basically didn't like him from the first day on. Same thing with Mike Leake. They kind of alienated him, and then they spent $87.5 million on Wilson Contreras, and it's like the second week of May, and they're pulling him from the starting catching job because the pitchers are whining. Why would I want to be a part of that when I've got a chance to go here, that manager, this manager, this manager? Why would I want to go there? They sign free agents and then they can't stand them. Those people are probably kind of goofy right now. They're not right. They don't believe in signing free agents. They don't like to sign free agents. And it's almost like once they do spend money on a free agent from the outside, it's almost like they resent the fact that they spent that money. And it's just like they hold it against the player or something. I mean, it's really crazy. Remember Mozeliak in an interview with Dan McLaughlin, ripped Dexter Fowler?
Yeah.
And had to go apologize? He had to fly. He flew out in the off season to still try to patch up the relationship. It's almost like, we spent $62.5 million, and I really wanted, or whatever it was for Dexter, and I really wanted it, and he's making me look bad. So I've had enough of this guy. He wasn't making you look bad. You just you made a decision that didn't turn out. That's baseball, man. I liked when they signed Dexter Fowler. I get it. But sometimes they don't work out as well as you think. But it doesn't mean you should resent the player just because you made a mistake with how you spent money. You see what I mean, Jim?
I get it 100%. From the front office or the managerial or the staff, I'll include the whole staff, there's nothing that makes me go, that's why I want to be here. I'll even go this route with you, Bernie.
If they have good options.
Yes. If I am a pitcher, and we know the Cardinals are going to be out there looking for it, and I have a choice, and they go, what about St. Louis? Well, are you going to text Andre Palante, Ryan Helsley, Giovanni Gallegos, Dakota Hudson, and say, hey, what's it like there? No. You're not going to text any of those guys. Those guys aren't guys that are up front. They're going to be able to give you a good feel. They're not leader types of a pitching staff. That is gone as well within the dugout, even within the clubhouse. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Maybe Miles Miklasz, but I don't see him as being a guy who's got a lot of great contacts with other guys in the league. They don't even have that part of this.
He's kind of a performance art guy rather than
yes, he's good at that.
The actual real toughness, and I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think sometimes stylistically he hasn't figured out what's important. I think it's the best way to put it. Another thing that they lost, and Jordan Montgomery was talking about him yesterday before Game 1. Mad Dog Maddox. Boy, I went to St. Louis, and I heard nothing but good things about him. And as soon as I got there, he's like, you need to throw your four-seamer more because we think that's a really good pitch. And starting pitchers especially around Major League Baseball, Mad Dog Maddox, he's built up equity and credibility with a long pitching career that's made him very popular with pitchers. So now if you're a coveted free agent starter, okay, so what are you going to do? You're like, who is this guy? Who is this guy, Dusty? Why did Maddox couldn't wait to get out of there? Why would I want to go there? See, and you know what? If John Mozeliak hears about what I'm saying, if Bill DeWitt hears about what I'm saying, if Gersh hears about him saying, the spies who actually monitor the show and then get back, tell them what I'm saying, they would think I'm just being crazy and I'm being unfair and I'm not at all. I'm asking an honest question. Why, unless you wildly overpay them, a starting pitcher of high regard who has many attractive choices, why would he want to come here right now? Why? I say that calmly, and I am 100% sincere, and I'm not trying to just be a rabble-rouser. They don't, seriously, give me the motivation for wanting to come here. I go, I get a chance to play for Tony La Russa. No. Oh, I get a chance to work with Dave Dunk. No. Well, I get a chance to work with Mad Dog Maddox. He's really helped a lot of. No, he's not there either.
It's going to be a rough go to try to sell this place.
And players on the other side, they see Ollie over there.
Mm-hmm.
They see him just like blowing his stack, going nuts on umpires for sketchy reasons, stuff like that.
Ball was 3 inches outside. He's staring down the umpires. What's up with that?
Right.
So
I don't know, man. I do not know. I hope I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I'm wrong for putting it out there as a legitimate question. And for those of you who are mad at me because I said it, look, man, I'm sorry I can't be a fanboy. I'm just sorry. I want the Cardinals to win. I'm happy when they win. It's good for our town. It's good for the fans. It makes people happy. It's a unifying force. We have a lot of divisions in St. Louis and St. Louis County and St. Charles County and Jefferson County across the river. There's, everybody, the nation's polarized. We can't agree on anything. But when the Cardinals are good and they're winning, man, everyone is in love with each other. All the baseball fans, Cardinal Nation. Doesn't matter what their politics are or what neighborhood they live in or what their religious belief. It doesn't matter. It's a shared love and a shared purpose and a shared activity, Cardinals baseball. So, yeah, I love when the Cardinals are great because it's good for everyone. But I'm just not the kind of – I told Will today, I'm not going to do the fanboy thing where it's like if they're bad and really, really, really bad, I'm not going to sit here and lie to listeners or to try to like polish up the truth and present some kind of homogenized version. I'm not going to do it. So, I mean, I'm sorry in a way. I'm not sorry, but I mean, that's just the way it is.
You can't lie to people. You got to tell the truth. They're in a bad, bad place right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go pitch in St. Louis because, man, I've always wanted to work with Yachty. Oh, that's right. Well, Contreras is a good dude. Yeah, he is. He really is. And he rose above all of these backbiters. But, the thing of it is, they're still in the Post-Dispatch. John Mozeliak's still in the Post-Dispatch talking about how there's going to be a competition. It's like they still don't say that's our catcher. So, yeah, you may think Wilson's a good dude, and he is. But they signed him, and then they've kind of dissed him, and they still won't look at him and say, you know what, and you're going to get better, and we're going to work with you. You are our catcher. So a pitcher's going to say, what are they doing with this guy? Right?
I agree 100%.
Well, I can go there and learn a lot from Waino. Well,
no, you can't.
Not anymore. Man, I've always wanted to play with that Pujols guy. Well, he's retired. You know what? I've always wanted to pitch in front of a stellar defense. Yeah, well, maybe a couple years ago you would have had that. They kind of forgot about it. What's the lure? What's the draw? And I know even some Cardinals fans say, well, Bernie, it's one of the most storied franchises in the history of the game. Yeah, it is. I don't think that thing sells with free agents as much as it used to. Because guys want to win now, and they know that the organization is going to go all out to win, and there's not going to be this politics. They're going to have strong leadership in every corner. You know, I don't think by and large free agents care about how many Cardinals teams of the past have won, pennants and World Series, because it ain't the past. If they sign with the Cardinals, it's the present and the future, and that's what you got to make the decision on. Because the Cardinals have broken from their past because they no longer are attaining that high level that they reached for so often. I'm sorry, man. It's just the way it is. But if you throw enough money out there, you can catch people's attention.
They're almost going to have to do that. That might be the only way they can get this accomplished.
But this whole baseball heaven thing, and you think you're going to sign players at a discount? No. Not if they have better options out there. As I've told the story 1,000 times, they could have had – I've told this story. I can't even count how many times I've told that story and wrote about it in the paper. Years ago, Max Scherzer was willing to take less money. He really, truly was. To pitch for the Cardinals. He wanted to be in his hometown. And Bill DeWitt and Mo said no. Pitchers break down. I've been telling that story for years and years and years and years. And it was a pretty steep discount. It was actually more than I thought. And they didn't even want to bring Max Scherzer in here. And so, again, if you're a major league pitcher of some renown who's got really good choices, hey, Max Scherzer tells people this story. It's like, wait a minute, these dudes, Maxie wanted to pitch in his hometown, one of the greatest pitchers really of all time. And he gave him a discount, and they still said no. Why would I want to go there? I think that's a fair question.